This is Curious Brain Thoughts.
Good day to you, Paul.
Back to singing episodes. Good day, Louise.
Just got a sing-song voice. Don't give me no shade about it.
Sing-song voice.
Don't say it.
Okay. What was I going to say?
Probably something A, rude, B, inappropriate, C, all of the above.
D, refer to C. Well, good. Maybe I wasn't actually, Louise.
Chile.
I don't know what I was going to say. Nothing. Just, be amazed at the warblings.
The warblings.
Yes. I don't know if that's derogatory. I don't think it is. Warbles wibble, but they don't fall down.
There we are.
Yeah, good. Great. So what's going on in the land of Lou at the moment?
Planning things, doing things, writing things.
Spare me the details.
I'm writing a book at the moment, actually.
Oh.
Yeah.
Do you know a really good start to a book?
What?
Once Upon a Time.
The end. Yes, in a land far, far away.
Yes, good. That's another one.
Call Me Ishmael. That's another one.
Okay.
First,
Ishmael.
It's the first line of Moby Dick.
Oh, is it?
Aye, very famous.
Aye. Great. So that's lovely. And actually, we should talk about the book for a minute because it is something that's quite an interesting topic for a number of reasons. We haven't told you anything about what it's about yet. So relax, man. Stop getting so aggy. Just calm your bloody self down. The thing that's interesting, not only the topic, is also the fact that I'm aware I have a lot of limiting beliefs jangling around about me being able to do something like write a book. I associate Lou as being far more capable of doing that because she did English literature at university, got herself a 2-1, I believe. She is very well read. She goes read occasionally, as well as being well read, and is a real bookworm. So for me, that sort of makes a lot of sense because she loves books, and therefore writing a book, well, you've got a lot of experience in doing that. And yet, interestingly, Lou, what has come up for you in that process?
Well, it's very fascinating because the fact that I've read a lot of books has got a bugger all to do with me actually writing one. It just means I can read those fellas, not necessarily write them. So
Two different skills.
There we are. And yes, I did do an English degree many moons ago, and all that means I can do literary criticism. That's not the same as actually writing a book.
Yeah.
So turns out there are some limiting beliefs of my own. Who am I to write a book? What have I got to say that's remotely interesting?
Valid questions.
Etc. Rude. And the support, dear listeners, that I receive
is second to none.
That's what I was going to say. Second to none. Well, yes. So anyway,
it is very cool though.
I'm trying it. I've never done it before, so what it will be is what it will be, and I'm not necessarily attaching too much to that.
Mm-hmm.
It's just it's almost the act of doing it, of typing out. I've only written about 15,000 words. It's not like I've written a lot of words, but I'm finding it relatively straightforward to write because it's a non-fiction book. It's not a novel.
I was going to say though, 15,000 words for a picture book is quite a lot of words.
It's big, lots of pictures. Got lots to say.
I actually just wanted to say, I think I've said it before offline, and I wanted our dear listeners to hear. I'm actually really proud of you going through this process because I know it's not easy, and yet how you're approaching it is so lovely to see. You're going through this process of holding it lightly whilst also wanting to have something as an outcome, and not putting too much pressure on yourself, and trying to lean into all the discomfort, the uncertainty, and talking back to the voices or just quietening them down. It's just so lovely to see, and I'm really, really looking forward to whatever the finished product is, and helping to do my bit to cheerlead you along the way. I'm really proud of what you're doing.
Thanks, I appreciate it very much. But the reality is, you know, I don't know, William Shakespeare didn't necessarily write, you know, crowd-pleasing plays right from the get-go. You've got to start somewhere, and that is that old adage, isn't it? You know, you don't regret the things you tried, you regret the things you didn't try.
Yep.
So despite all of these, you know, limiting beliefs coming up around my capability, I'm doing it anyway.
I love that. I love it so much. And I can't wait to write my own book.
Yeah.
I don't feel I have capacity for it at the moment, and that's okay.
Yeah, completely.
And I think the people are going to be really interested in the topic as well, and maybe we've talked about it before. Just trying to quickly figure out if we have, because the topic is something that is central to coaching and the experience that we all go through in any part of growth, just exactly like the conversation we've just been having. And it's limiting beliefs, and these things are present for all of us in lots and lots of different ways. No two need be the same. Sometimes they are, and they're experienced differently.
Yeah.
And with all the clients that we're working with all the work we're doing on ourselves and so on, this is something so universal, these limiting beliefs.
Yeah.
And what a great theme for a book.
And that's why I'm writing it, because I come up against these things in myself and, of course, with the people that I work with all the time, because we're all humans and that's just how we roll. So I just got really curious about where these things come from and why they're so powerful, and how we can make different choices, think differently. And so, yeah, you know, that's what it's all about, really.
So the research that you've been doing and the conversations you've been having for writing this book, how are they helping you in the process of overcoming your limiting beliefs in writing this book?
Well, it's funny because the book is in and of itself, it's a bit meta, because it's I'm working on limiting beliefs, about my limiting beliefs, and I'm actually telling stories about myself in the book, using myself as a bit of a case study in places, because you know, I can talk with the most authenticity, of course, about my own experience. So working through the research and writing of the book is it's also a self-development exercise. That's one of the things that's happening. Yeah.
Very, very cool. And so, if you were thinking, if someone else who's listening to this is going, well, blimey, if Lou can think about writing a book, maybe I can.
Yeah.
What do you think would be something supportive that you could offer to someone who may be thinking of writing a book or doing something different like that?
So if you're thinking of writing a book, or indeed, I don't know, doing anything new, I would say be compassionate to yourself for doubting yourself and questioning your idea. That's normal. However, if you allow the idea to grow, then what you will find is it'll keep coming back if it's one that's got some real strength. And when it does, and as it inevitably will, to just do something. It doesn't really matter what, but to take some action, to hold yourself accountable for doing something. So, for example, I have done an outline of the book and I write the book in 25-minute chunks, and then I take a 5-minute break, do another 25-minute chunk. And when I'm writing the rough draft, it just flows, and I don't edit it and I don't read it back, I just write it. And then I've given myself a date to have that done by. And in it was half term last week, the children were on holiday from school and I didn't do any writing. Mm-hmm. So I'm stood here thinking, oh, eek, I'm a bit behind. But actually, as I write each chapter, I turn it green on my little plan, and it's gradually turning green. And so it's just baby steps, showing up, following your process, whatever that is. And then, in a few weeks' time, blimey, I'm halfway through writing my rough draft. Okay, great. And to your point, it's just show up, take the steps, one foot in front of the other. Don't project too much about the future. Just show up and take that step that day. That's it. Be compassionate to yourself about the rest of it. You're bound to have wobbly days. It's okay. But if you keep showing up, something is going to be different.
I really resonate with that, because the other day, Lou and I, we are working on some really exciting projects at the moment. And one of them is that in the very near future, we will be launching a course for people to be able to coach themselves. And we're doing this in a very, very different way. And one of the areas of it is nothing to do with the actual course material or design or anything like that. We're feeling really, really, really confident about that. One of the challenges is around the marketing, because we've not ever marketed something like this before. And what I found hugely exciting as we went through the conversation around all the different aspects that we need to focus on and things we need to try and blah, blah, blah. For myself, I just tuned in on one thing, one really, really small thing. And instead of feeling overwhelmed by all the myriad of different things we need to do, I just focused on this one small thing, which is going to be the subject of a little scrum that we're going to do to help move us forwards. And what excites me about it is not that it's a small step, it's the fact that I can see how it really connects to the next and the next and the next. So now, instead of going, I want to try and avoid this thing as much as I possibly can because I don't know what I'm doing and blah, blah, blah. Now I'm going, I can't wait to get this small step done, because I'm excited to play with it, to see how it influences, informs, whatever, the next step, whatever that next step is going to be in eating this elephant.
So that's completely transformed your experience of, really another limiting belief around, well, God, I've never done this before, and that all feels quite big and overwhelming, and you're just breaking the crust, chipping away. Yeah. One tiny bit's come away, and of course that does have a domino effect, and you will be able to feel differently. You already do.
And what's cool about it is that is an example in itself of me coaching myself.
Yes.
And I remember I was on a course with a business mentor type person a while ago, and they were asking me some questions on one of these team calls about what, I can't even think what the thing was. And the feedback she gave me at the end was she really loved how I coached myself through the conversation. Which I was like, oh yeah, okay, cool, great, I'll take that. So it's interesting that this stuff is coming to the fore for us, because we're wanting to be able to scale our impact. We're wanting to be able to support more people in ways that are more affordable or repeatable, etc. And the fact that this self-coaching vibe is coming up for us is just very, very cool.
Yeah, it is very cool, and I think that we're often guided and shown the way. It's over here. I was saying something to somebody just yesterday, and so you can sometimes have a conversation with somebody and they spot something, they notice something, and you think to yourself, why didn't I see that? It was
100%.
it was right in front of me.
100%.
Why didn't I see that? And so sometimes people are shown up, to illuminate something or to guide the way on something. And that comment you got from that business mentor around you coaching yourself, I think often when something is innate, when we do it naturally, we don't realise that we're doing it or frame it as necessarily coaching ourselves, and therefore we're a bit more not that we don't appreciate it or that we're blasé about it even, but that we maybe it's just a natural thing for us and we take it for granted. And I quite often find myself thinking to myself and saying to other people, let's not make the mistake of thinking that the choices we would make and the way that we look at the world is the same as it is for everybody else. It's a tempting thing, but it isn't true.
Which, coming back to limiting beliefs, is why it's so great to be able to externalize them. So, for example, there might be some limiting beliefs around money. I can't do that because it's going to cost me too much money. I won't do that because it will cost money.
Who's ever come up with any limiting beliefs around money, Paul?
What?
God,
I mean,
I don't know what you mean, honestly.
No, I mean, well, obviously, I'm just making this up.
Yeah, okay, good.
Yeah, see what I did there? Nice recovery.
Yeah,
No one's going to have noticed that either. And by externalizing some of these things, by somebody supportively noticing, hey, I see how you're talking about money. That's interesting. Where do you feel that's coming from? How is that serving you? What is it that you're then focused on? And by being able to enter into a process of reflecting on those things properly, it can massively help to influence, because like we've just said, it's then not about going, oh yes, stupid me, of course, that's really dumb, I've got a limiting belief about money, I'm going to transform that. No. The next opportunity, something associated with money comes up where you feel that reaction, I better not do that, or whatever, is notice it. Spot it. I've just done, okay, cool. I'm still going to carry on with the decision of not doing whatever it is, and at least I've noticed it.
Yes.
And that's so powerful as you start the journey of talking back to a limiting belief.
It's incredibly powerful. It was last night, I was sat on the sofa watching the telly, and I'd been...
Was it still there? Did you turn it on?
I had to keep my eye on it. I'd been wild swimming that in the evening. It was so lush, and I was exhausted. And I went to the cupboard and I got some chocolate and I ate what one might argue would be a little bit too much chocolate.
Details.
But then I found myself, and this is why I'm raising it, this noticing. So, okay, what's going on? And again, it was a thought process, a self-coaching process in my head. I noticed what was going on, and then I was able not to go, oh, Lou, you silly old bint. Why are you eating too much chocolate? Which is what I would have done probably 6 months ago.
Yeah.
I was able to go, okay, so curious, what's happening there then? And... okay, I'm feeling quite stressed. I'm feeling a bit overwhelmed with all of the things that are on my plate at the moment. Okay, so that's a bit of pain relief. That's a bit of numbing going on there. Yeah. Okay, what other ways could I choose to do that? So I'm not falling into the trap necessarily of telling myself a limiting belief story about that. Or telling myself that I'm not worthy story about that.
Yes.
I'm able, by the act of noticing, to then go, oh, okay. So, and I don't get me wrong, I don't do it every time.
What?
Right.
Oh my
And
God.
if anyone who's listened to our episode about numbing, we all
We've got no experience.
The crisps and wine thing,
I mean,
the chalk.
we had to make that up so that people would feel like, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And there's nothing wrong with a little bit of pain relief every now and again.
Hell no.
It's just noticing that with compassion and with all these limits that we put on ourselves. It's a bit like, one of those lanterns, those oil lanterns that you have outside with the glass and then it's got a little oil reservoir.
Yeah.
If you don't have the wick trimmed,
yes,
then it doesn't shine brightly. In other words, it needs the right conditions to shine. It's still a light,
yes,
but it's not casting out very much brightness. And it's a bit like that's the way I treat myself, and I think we all do it sometimes. When we let these stories take over, we're not giving ourselves the right conditions to shine.
And like, I constantly have one about time and productivity, not wasting time, being productive. And I had a lovely, lovely visit from my 21-year-old godson. So lovely to see him. He's just finished university and so on. And I needed to get a bunch of stuff done, and I got all right, so I'm going to be doing this, that and the other, blah, blah, blah. And what happened this morning is that we ended up having a very beautiful conversation for probably 2 to 3 hours. And what I was able to do, I noticed I was feeling a bit, I'm not doing the thing I should be doing. And what I was able to do was tune into how lovely this moment is.
Yeah.
And there's always going to be space for me to catch up.
Yeah.
And as a result, I wasn't giving myself a hard time about you've just wasted 2 to 3 hours with Jake when you should have been doing whatever. It was just lovely, just really, really lovely. And I'm noticing I am getting better and better at talking back to my limiting beliefs. Don't get me wrong, I ain't there, girl.
No.
And like you say, I have good days and bad days and so on. So I'm just super excited for you to hurry up and finish this bloody book so that I can proofread it. And I can't wait for it to be out and shared with people.
Thank you. Yeah, me too. It's going to be exciting.
Well, on that bombshell,
I better get back to writing.
yeah, chop chop.
Okay.
Tatty bye.
Bye-bye.
Curious Brain Thoughts.